Coffee with Shanda, and we are going to talk about how do you follow the coaching even when it doesn't feel right, and should you even follow the coaching even when it doesn't feel right. So this is a huge conversation. I've got a couple, existing clients, a couple past clients that I'm watching different stories start to come together for. So for instance, right now I've got a bunch of clients that I just worked with that had their best, couple quarters yet that they've ever had inside their business. And here's why. They follow the coaching. However, the coaching doesn't always feel like it's right. So there's nothing harder than to follow coaching when you have a hard or an unpleasant connection with resistance, right? So I'll give you a really vulnerable story. I used to think that, not only did I used to think that I knew it all, I used to think that I always knew what was best for me. And this contradicts a lot of spiritual beliefs. It contradicts a lot of intention or intuition teaching, not intention, but intuition teaching. But please just open up and just be open to what I'm saying right now, because sometimes your greatest cut, your greatest, explosion, it's like you could go from 0 to 1 million in a year if you could just get out of your own way with some of the ways that we think. So what do I mean by that? So resistance often in our space looks like overwhelmed, frustration. If we're afraid of something, we will fight to not do it. Have you ever noticed that when you go on vacation, you get a lot done? It's because you suppress the thinking, conversation inside your head, and you just move into getting it done. And getting it done becomes more important than getting it right, getting it perfect, great timing. I have the money to do it or not. It's basically all the thoughts that cause you to put the brakes on things go away, and you just rock things out and go on vacation. So if you've ever experienced that, let me know that you've experienced that. If you haven't ever experienced that, let me know that, because I'll come back on the thread and I'll give you some coaching about how to light the fire underneath your ass so that you don't hold back anymore. So when it comes to actually coaching, I don't know who your coach is. Your coach may be me, your coach may be somebody else, but look first and foremost, are people getting the results that you want? Are people getting the results that you want? So I have a client right now that literally in the last quarter has done more than she did all last year. I have a guy who just from the pure act of, tweaking just 2 titles has made more money this year than he's ever made in business ever. Okay. And so why do I tell you that? Well, I also have someone who left our community. And by the way, there's no problem with leaving our community, but left our community to go coach with a coach, and she couldn't hear me anymore. Sometimes it happens where you just can't hear me anymore, or you can't hear your coach anymore. You need to switch it up a little bit. Well, I'm watching her business and she's stressed out, and I was just checking in on her because I love her. And she's stressed out. She doesn't really know what she's doing next. She didn't renew with her coach. And it was just after 1 year. If you've worked with a coach for 1 year and you're feeling in that space where it's like it's just not, their people are not getting the results that you want, then I definitely recommend don't hire a coach off of like how much they cost. Sometimes people will ask me, Shanda, I'm working up to working with you. Do you have a cheaper business coach? I'm like, well, you don't want a cheaper business coach, because if you get a cheaper business coach, that means that they're not as experienced, their worthiness, meaning that their self-worth, which is something you're going to have to deal with at some point to be able to raise your prices to what it's worth. Their self-worth is lower, and they just haven't been in business as long, so they don't know the shortcuts to get there. Now, does that mean that everybody who works with me or everybody who works with a great coach succeeds? God, no. No, not at all. But what I will tell you is if they make themselves known to the coach, if they're not a pain in the ass to coach or talk to, they'll explode. There's people that I'm not even coaching privately that I message in my inbox that will message me or keep me up to date on what they're doing. And they're just a pleasure to be around because they're not that they don't go through hard times, they totally do. In fact, almost all of their times are hard until that one tweak comes where now they're unleashed for another year or two. That one tweak that unleashes a year or two of productivity for them. So meaning it just pays dividends. But if you're a lone wolf and you actually just know it all, whoever you're coaching with, and know it all means like you just get into your work, because know it all looks really like, don't take it as like the negative way of hearing me say that. Know it all is like, I'm in my day, I'm working on my day, and I'm focused, I'm answering emails, and I'm doing my work. And then the end of the day comes and you haven't actually, A, either helped somebody else that's not connected with your business, or B, even asked somebody to help you and become a good receiver. If those two things where you're asking for help and you're helping someone who is not connected with you getting paid for it, if those two things aren't happening in your strategy every single day, you're slowing your growth. You're slowing your growth. It's the difference between working on your business and working in your business. When you're working in your business and you're not looking up to help other people or looking up to be connected with someone who can help you, then what happens is you slow your growth because you're actually in the rat race of building your business. You're like, you basically, I mean, you're an employee. And there's nothing wrong with being an employee. I've just hired 3 incredibly huge employees inside my company. One of them being, a sales VP of our company. And, so, I mean, these people, they make more, they make more money than most entrepreneurs make as an employee. So often because I teach business, people have this idea that being an entrepreneur is like the only way to make insane money, or is the only like amazing freedom choice in the world, when sometimes, just getting a job that you're actually really good at and you can skyrocket to the top is some people's choices. Why do I talk about that? Well, because entrepreneurship is not for everyone. It's not for everyone. Some people think they want to be an entrepreneur because they love the idea of this freedom, but then all they do is work so hard that they don't look up, and they realize if you're not helping someone else or somebody isn't helping you, you're missing the actual growth of how an entrepreneurship company works. So I'll give you an idea. I have a good friend of mine who, I know these numbers are extraordinary, but this is just where my friends are now. We all started at the bottom where we couldn't eat, and we worked out of closets, and we stressed out about how we were going to pay our rent or mortgages. And some of us lived in other people's homes, and they paid the rent or the mortgages. And that's the truth. And now my friends are in categories like my friend I was talking to the day before yesterday or actually last Friday. He was saying, we hit 50 million in our company this year, and my goal is 100. He wants to make $100 million. Now, that doesn't matter if you're talking about $5,000 or whatever. It's the same principles. And he said to me, I'm not going to hit the 100 million based on the way I'm going right now. They're making like $3 million a year or $3 million a month. Isn't that crazy? $2 to $3 million a month. And he's trying to jump. And he's like, and I can't seem to jump. And so before he talked to me, he was talking to my very good friend Bedros, who is a giver, right? So Bedros spent, a few hours talking to him. I spent just over an hour talking to him. And here's what I said to him. In order to grow to that next level, you have to have key players in your company that know how to get there, that are better than you. So if you want to go to 100 million, you need somebody on your team that, it can grow the company to like 500 million and knows how to get there. Secondly, I said, the person that you're going to hire is probably not going to come from a headhunter. I just talked to a company that would charge me $50,000, and they're very good at building sales centers. And it was a $50,000 coaching fee. They come in, build all of our systems, and then help me find a key VP to run that division. So not only would I pay the $50,000, I would also pay, the VP and attract the VP from another customer or from another company. And I said, how do you find that VP? Through a headhunter? And he said, which I already knew the answer, but I just wanted to see if they had something that I didn't know, because at the end of the day, the more I know, the more I realize I don't know. So even though my head thought I knew the answer, I still asked the question and was coachable. And so they said, we'll find that person through your network. So I'm like, okay. So as I'm talking to that group, and this is the same advice I gave to my friend and I give to you. If you want to grow, you got to give more. So I said, you need to go out and help everybody that comes into your space. The people that are, they've got a name behind them, like they're powerful. And if you help them, they're probably going to help you, because that's how top leaders operate. If you scratch my back, they do scratch your back, not because of obligation, but because it's who they are. Leaders take people with them. The more successful you are, the more you make time, because you get your worth to help other people. So I said, whether they've got a name or they're your janitor and they clean your floors, if somebody needs your help, I said to my friend, I said, you've got to help them all. You gotta, like I said, I would put all my attention to going out there for the next 30 days and helping as many people as I can. It's so counterintuitive, because you think the big goal of him doubling his company was going to come from him working harder, but it's not. It comes from a strategic hire. It comes from like some people, the strategic hire is a Facebook person to run ads. You're like, oh, I can't afford those ads. They're like $7,000, $10,000 a month. I'm like, yeah, but if they make you $20,000 a month, then you want to take that challenge. So you've got to first get out of your own way and develop your own leadership. But then in order to grow to the next level, you have to figure out how to give more. So I'm not kidding you. I told my friend, for the next 30 days, if you want to go to 50 million to 100 million, you have to find a key VP of sales that's going to come from somebody that is, you don't even know, it's going to come from the most random source. So go help as many people as you can for the next 30 days, the janitor and the high-end person that comes into your space, meaning the highly successful person. And I want you to help everybody in between. And then when you help them, they will ask you what you're up to. And you just be obsessed about you're looking for this person to double your company and then triple your company. And the person is a VP of sales. And he's like, you're so right. Like, that's how I grew my company to 50 million. Just an aha moment for a second, because I have a leadership division in a program. And I will tell you, one of the biggest things that people get backed up about is even introducing it to anyone. Even taking a moment to help someone when they're busy. I have a contest called Bring a Friend Contest. And it's where our clients can actually bring friends to our events, and at a very, very low price. And it's amazing, because if you look at the 20 people out of the 700 that really play, just take that in for a second. 20 people out of the 700 that really play, they're the ones that are succeeding the most. And they didn't start that way. If you go interview them, they'll tell you one of their biggest breakthroughs was playing the contest of giving. So my friend grew his company to 50 million because of giving and making it intentional. I found our VP of sales from somebody who is a client of mine who actually is her fitness instructor. I never could have guessed in a million years that I would find the person that I had been slugging out trying to find, going to $100,000 masterminds, going to, and I'm not saying that those connections don't ever come from those places. I'm saying that in order for you to receive, and you've heard this before, but it's not a manipulation game. You have to be clean. You have to be clean when you give, because the more you actually give and look up to help other people, the solutions come forward. People come in and they just do your funnel for you. They don't charge you. People come in and they just write a press release for you. Like one of our clients, Lisa Richardson. I mean, if you don't know her and you want to do media, you should know her. She's in marketing mastery. She got me on Forbes. She got inked to write articles about me in Huffington Post. Forbes ended up doing a full-blown article on me. Do you know how long I've been wanting to be in Forbes? It didn't come from my PR company. Now, I know people like Allie Brown got a huge, TV show because of actually having a PR company. So I'm not saying that don't hire coaches, don't hire PR companies, don't hire people to learn your funnel. I'm not saying that. I'm actually saying all those things tee up and come together. Don't get frustrated. Stay the course and do all the things you're doing and add in, I guarantee you, if you look up and you add in helping people, like whenever it comes in, and I do not believe you can give too much. I think there's a lot of really good people who give the advice that you can give too much. Now, I'm not saying be a people pleaser to the point that you give yourself to exhaustion, but hear what I'm saying. The only way you can give yourself to exhaustion is if you have something connected with the giving. Because giving raises your worthiness. Every time I tithe to the church, I put it up on the wall. $70,000, $20. I put it up on the wall. And when I have those days where I get out of bed where I'm feeling like a little defeated, I look on that wall and it's my giving wall. And that's just connected to money, right? And even when things are really hard, the first thing the woman I pray with says is, have you given financially? So there's tons of spiritual laws. There's tons of biblical laws that teach us that, in fact, in the Bible, it says, if you want to be a leader, become a servant. If you want to lead many, like if you want to be like a Deepak Chopra, a Wayne Dyer, then the thing is give like a slave, and take the word slave and don't put it to the attachment of a negative connection. A slave just gives. I have people there's people in my life, forget about me for a second, but it's like, I don't think people realize how much I give behind the scenes that nobody ever finds out about, because it's not important. What's important is I was able to be there for someone else, even though I have a full life and a full business. And so when you give from the place of a clean place, I promise you that it's not exhausting. In fact, you find more energy, and the things that you're working on your to-do list just start getting done for you because people start stepping up to help you. It just takes 1 or 2 tweaks in a year. 1 or 2 of the right tweaks in a year will explode your financials and your client base and your business growth to a whole nother level. It's not 20 things. So a big, long to-do list is counterintuitive, but a big, long to-do list actually means that you're moving in the wrong direction and growing your business. You need less things on your plate, focusing on one major thing that you're focusing on right now. If you're my PACE Club, I always say, focus on the step you're in, and really get good about slowing down the stress and the worry. So if you're focused on the one thing, then what happens is there's no space for worrying because you're so focused. If you're really focused, the worrying doesn't have a space because you're focused. And then if you have space to be able to help other people, what's going to happen is you're going to grow a lot faster. So just pay attention to the people succeeding the most in all of your masterminds. And if you're not in a mastermind, you need to be in a mastermind. We learn better in community. I have, an old client who is struggling now not because she left our community. She hired a coach that gave her more attention and for a lesser price point, and I guarantee you she couldn't get the same results, right? And so it's better to hire me for a VIP day or to hire a good coach for a VIP day and invest the money because the return on investment is there. But when you hit a plateau and you can't bust through that plateau, I guarantee you there's 2 things. Who are you asking for help? And is it the right people? Are you asking for help? And sometimes God has you make an investment that feels scarier than shit to make, which is what I just did. But I'm getting good at making those decisions because I've done the leadership work. The leadership work that we have inside of our company, and this is not a leadership training, that I'm not trying to pitch anything. I'm just being really straight with you. I stayed in the work for 4 years and just gave. And I ran a huge division. And I sold more than I've ever sold my entire life when I was in the game of giving like that on a regular basis. I don't know how my work got handled at the same time, other than it just happens. And so I know it sounds a little esoteric and woo-woo, but I'm telling you that when you operate from this standpoint, an army of people show up to support you. Just look, if you're in HeartCore, look at Amy Yamada, look at Jennifer Cornbley, look at Ariella in Pace Club, look at Jessica in Pace Club. Pay attention to the people who give the most. They're always the ones who make the most money. It's a trip to watch. So it takes a little bit of getting used to, because you'll feel like, well, I'm giving too much and now things are falling apart in my world. So it takes a little while to find the balance of how to do it. But I promise you, if you take this on, even if you make it like the next 6 months of your life is going to be learning how to master giving, you're going to find that things quantum leap. So I'll stop on that. I have an incredible week of Coffee with Shanda with you. Coming up here, I think it's Wednesday, we have got an insane guest around storytelling, which is so important because stories are what sell. Content do not sell. So I have a surprise guest on Wednesday, which I'm excited to talk to you about and to debrief his work with you. And this week is going to be, let's say, a highly connected week in helping you get inside your own mind to unhook from the thoughts that have you make decisions to hold back. So whenever you hear yourself this week saying, I already know that, I want you to realize that you're taking steps back. I don't want you to be in a conversation of, I already know that. I want you to come with a beginner's mind this week. And let's see what we can create inside your business this week, just from you truly being open, not saying you're open, but truly being open. And look up and see how many people can you give to by Friday this week. All right, you guys, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.